Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Fargo Retro. Today we are doing our top 10 favorite video games of all time. Now, it's important if you're going to be a video game commentator, content creator, to do your top 10 favorite video games so everyone knows what games you don't like of theirs and can hate you all the time. Obviously, this is just my personal top 10. I'd love to hear what your top 10 favorite games are below. What did you agree with? What do you not agree with? And all that jazz. Remember, this is just my top 10 personal favorite games of all time. Something fun I'm going to do is I'm going to try and show you all the copies of them I have. Sometimes, games are released on multiple versions and whatever. So without further ado, we're going to jump right on into my top 10 favorite video games. So first up, number 10, we have Halo Combat Evolved. I also have the Anniversary Edition for the Xbox 360, which is a remake, but it also has a lot of the original graphic features at a touch of a button. Halo was a launch property from Microsoft on the Xbox, and this came out at a perfect time for me. I was just becoming a teen boy. I loved sci-fi and military science fiction and all that. The music is great. The story is pretty compelling, and I just loved the immersion, the graphics, the immersion. I wasn't a big shooting game fan, but I love that you could tell a story in a shooter, and I think that paved the way for a lot of different games. So, and then the multiplayer back in the day was fantastic. I used to play with my girlfriend and her brother, and accuse them of camping. So yeah, Halo, I think, was one of my favorite games. It really revolutionized modern gaming. Modern gaming wouldn't be what it is without Halo. Next up, number 9, I have Super Mario World. I've got it on the Super Nintendo. Also have it for the Game Boy Advance and on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. But yeah, Super Mario World, which is kind of weird because, for a little bit, Super Nintendo and the Nintendo were kind of running at the same time. It'd be kids who only had the Nintendo or only had the Super Nintendo. But, to say that this is not a better game than Super Mario Bros. 3, I think would be a lie. This is absolutely a better game. I definitely liked just how fun it was, how colorful and engaging it was, and how many secrets there were. A lot of fun was playing it with your friends, seeing what they knew. I could definitely remember the first time I ever saw one of those moons that gives you the cookie moons that give you 3 lives, and it just blew my mind. So yeah, number 9, Super Mario World. Number 8 is another Super Nintendo title here, Actraiser for the Super Nintendo. I got this really early in the life cycle of the system as well, and this game just blew my mind. The music was fantastic. The art was very colorful, or it was very dark and overbearing on those types of maps and missions. It's a hack and slash action platformer and a city builder, and it's got a soundtrack by Yuzo Koshiro, who you may know from some really excellent Sega Genesis games like Streets of Rage and all that. And yeah, I think if any game on this list was ready for a remake, for a reimagining, it'd be this one. There's nothing in the mold here. Maybe a Dark Cloud or something like that would be comparable. But just the music, the graphics, the gameplay, just fantastic. And it's a pretty quick play. You probably beat it in an afternoon. Number 7, Resident Evil 2. I had a lot of really good memories playing Resident Evil with my dad. When Resident Evil 2 came out, he got this right away, and we spent a lot of time playing it. I tried to impress my cousins, and when we would play this, and I thought it'd be super cool, but eventually you'd have to turn the lights on, turn music on, make sure all the doors are locked. It's just that scary. The story of, Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield and the Raccoon City Police Department is just fantastic. I really love this game. Cannot speak highly enough of it. All right, so number 6, we've got Romance of the Three Kingdom 4. You can see I only have the disc here. I don't know what happened to my box of it or whatever. This is my dad's game, and we've been playing it for almost 20 years now. you know, it's an excellent strategy game. Some of the later Romance of the Three Kingdom games focus a little more on the RPG components of it and the intercharacter or interpersonal character dynamics. This is the perfect mix between strategy and very light RPG and city building and everything like that. This is an empire builder through and through. Very historical. You can learn a lot of the people that, you know, took place in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms story and what they did. Excellent primer, you know, if you want to get into the Dynasty Warriors series or anything like that. So a lot of really good memories playing this with my dad and his friend Bob. Yeah, it was just an excellent game. And yeah, if you don't like some of the later games and their focus on the RPG components, I definitely recommend picking this up. I think it's on the computer, the Super Nintendo, and this. There may be a Sega Saturn port of it. I'm not sure. I didn't look it up. So number 5, and in another world, I think this could be my favorite game. It's made by the same people that make my favorite game at about the same time. But that is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. I've also got it on DS, which I think is the preferred way to play it. And it came out on the Final Fantasy Chronicles on the PlayStation with Final Fantasy IV. But I really think this is probably the way to get it. But yeah, if I had owned this back in the day, I rented it a couple times. A friend of mine had it, and it really is fantastic. I mean, the music's fantastic. The character design is really great. You know, Frog will probably go down as my favorite character in video games of all time. And yeah, you know, in a different world, this might be my favorite game. But you know, it's a little short, even with the replayability. You know, I think with the different endings and whatever. You know, I just didn't get enough time with it as a kid. But part of it, I think, too, is why I like it so much, is just that I was exposed to it, and I just have a couple of really good memories of, like, the summer of '96, renting it, watching the Bulls win the championship, and playing Chrono Trigger. You know, that'll always be really important to me. You know, and I've only recently got the Super Nintendo copy of it because it is fairly expensive. For number 4, this is the only physical copy of I have. I played it mostly on computer, but Skyrim. Skyrim is just, you know, when kids were playing D&D and thinking about Tolkien in the 70s and 80s and imagining what a video game might be, this is that dream realized. The open world nature of it, the customizability of it, just phenomenal. I spent so many hours in Skyrim, and I recently picked up the VR version of it here to just physically get transported in. And to be honest, you do. You know, I will probably play some version of Skyrim for the remainder of my life. Number 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I was jostling between number 2 or number 3 for this. I settled with 3 just due to longevity, but I think this is probably a better game. Just the soundtrack and the setting, it feels like you're in 1991 LA, you know what I mean? And as kind of a nerdy kid who loved hip-hop and R&B, you know, walked a very narrow line between being a wankster and not being a wankster. You know, this was something I could really connect to, and it really helped me, you know, see that time and see those troubles and you know, and I can't say I went through them or anything like that, but really gave me some perspective on it. And you know, it was a fun game. I played it a lot with my sister and our cousin. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to hang out with your friends, a good way to play Grand Theft Auto is if someone dies or if they complete a mission, they have to give a controller up. You know, it's a pretty good way, you know, pretty good way of ensuring, you know, that the controller gets passed around quite a bit. So for number 2, Pokémon Blue. What can I say? In 5th grade, every single person and their mama was playing this. You know, the card game got banned at school. Every recess, you could find me in a circle of kids wrecking fools with my Butterfree. Wrecked a Mewtwo with my Butterfree back in the day. Just the social component of video games is, you know, acknowledging you play online and whatever is just not there anymore. And this was something that we were all doing. Everybody, you know, you had tips, you had tricks. There was another version of it that had slightly different gameplay. So it required, you know, people to get together and trade to complete their Pokedexes. I did complete an original 150 back in the day. I didn't ever get a Mew or anything like that. This is Sarah's copy of the game. But yeah, I kind of fell off the Pokemon series, unfortunately. It just is too much of a time sink. I really just don't have the time for it anymore. And I haven't since Blue, but I've spent thousands of hours playing this game. And if my dad is to be believed, that's why the Vikings lost the championship in 1998, the NFC championship, No, it wasn't Gary Anderson's kick. It was me playing Pokemon Blue. And he might be right. Who knows? And so lastly, for my ultimate favorite video game of all time, if you know anything about me, it's probably not going to be a shock here. I got 4 different versions of it here. But Final Fantasy III for the Super Nintendo. It's my original copy from back in the day. My dog, Lucky, chewed on it. But it still works. It's still good. She did wreck my copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Hyperstone Heist for Sega Genesis. But luckily, this is still kicking. Have it on the Game Boy Advance. Have it on Final Fantasy Anthologies for the PlayStation. And it's on your fancy SNES Mini as well. I'd probably recommend this or the Game Boy Advance version of the game. I have so much nostalgia for this game, though. I played Final Fantasy 1 and a little bit of Final Fantasy 2 and a lot of Dragon Warrior with my Uncle Sean, who passed away this year. And, one day after school, he would watch me for a while until my mom came home. And one day he was like, "Hey man, did you know there was a new Final Fantasy game that came out?" And I was like, "I didn't know." And he's like, he handed me the Target ad or whatever it was. I looked at it for a few minutes. I was like, "Oh, that looks really cool." And he was like, "You should check Under the Footstool, bud." And sure enough, new Super Nintendo game. I was not a wealthy kid. Sorry about that. Running into storage issues again. I was getting real emotional there. But yeah, Final Fantasy, I had a lot of games as a kid I probably didn't deserve or whatever, but, my family sacrificed so I could have them. And this is, one I played a ton of. The music, the characters, the world of balance and the world of ruin. I'd never seen a game change like that. The actions, the things that we did caused something to happen like that. For the first month of me playing the game, I didn't even know Sabin could input. I couldn't get through Mount Colts. I didn't know how to input the Blitz command and get past that. And, a friend of mine showed it to me, and it just opened up a whole world to me. A world that I've never really left, I don't think. But yeah, Final Fantasy III, again, if you're gonna play it, I recommend it on the Game Boy Advance or on the Super Nintendo Mini. Definitely not the chewed up dog cart if you can manage it. But yeah, it's my absolute favorite game of all time. On my birthday, I'm looking forward to playing that again here. Hopefully beat it once again here. I beat it actually in the last year as part of my Final Fantasy playthroughs. I'm trying to play through them all in chronological order. But I definitely think, another playthrough is appropriate at this time. So anyway, that's my top 10 games. In case you forgot: Halo, Super Mario World, Actraiser, Resident Evil 2, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 4, Chrono Trigger, Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Pokemon Blue, and Final Fantasy 3. So yeah, well, what do you like on my list? What do you not like? What's your top 10 list? Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and maybe I'll know. This is Eric from Fargo Retro, thanking you for stopping by here, and I hope you take care. Bye.